This is Deepika signing again from Scalable's desk. The industry track, hospitality, a beautiful, wonderful track. I have an excellent set of panelists with me today to share their experiences, their opinions, their thoughts for you, the youth. So YCC 2020, the industry track, hospitality. With us, we have our moderator, Ms. Vasundhara Dharmaraj. She is the senior lecturer, Institute of Hotel Management. Let me give a brief into her. She is qualified learning facilitator with more than 25 years of experience in hospitality education and training with IHM Bangalore. With over 10 years as the head of the department and more than 2 years as a principal in charge, her areas of specialization are F&B service, operations, and management, with high level of expertise in other disciplines of food production, front office, accommodation operations, and management. She has served as an expert on the panel of All India Council of Technical Training, which is AICTE, for hotel management studies. She joined the industry after graduation with Taj Group of Hotels and also served with other hotels in varied capacities before joining the Institute of Hotel Management, Bangalore. Welcome, Ms. Vasundhara Dharmaraj, as the moderator of the show.
Thank you, Deepika.
I also have in the panel with me the industry professional. I have Mr. Jayant Rangan. Welcome, sir. He's the principal of Alembic Consulting. I have institution professional, Mr. Pramod Nayak, senior lecturer.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Institute of Hotel Management, Bangalore. The youth professional, I have Mr. Ashwin Prashant. He's the GM for the Rivera Group, Bahrain. And I have the youth student, Miss Reem Shakil, chef final year student. So we take the session ahead. Over to you, Ms. Vasundhara Dharmaraj, the moderator for the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepika. That was a lovely intro to all of us. And I think that was something that you have just taken off so well and so spontaneously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And to my fellow panelists, Jayant, Ashwin, Pramod, and Reem, welcome. Today we are actually looking at hospitality. And before I actually set off with the entire program, I would just like to add a few more words to each one of you. Jayant Rangan is the principal of Alembic Consulting with more than 30 years of experience in hotels, both India and abroad. And he brings a wide, varied experience to this forum. He is going to be actually taking us forward on what the industry has faced in the past few months and possibly what would be the way forward in the next few months till we go back to perhaps where we started from. And that would be a perspective that he would be bringing into this discussion today. And then we have Pramod Nayak, who is the senior lecturer from IHM Institute of Hotel Management, Bangalore. And he will be actually bringing an insight into how industry and academia are actually mingling, are commingling to bring forth the different perspectives and how this event that has started a few months ago and has literally laid us by the heels is going to be accepted in the classroom and changed to equip the new students who are coming into the system. We have Ashwin from Bahrain. He's joining us from Bahrain. He's a very young general manager. He is with the Rivera Group and he brings his huge ideas, fresh ideas literally, which will be telling us about how his journey, a little bit about how he moved from being a student and how he possibly had to handle a lot of relearning before he actually fitted his shoes today. Of course, the main person we have today is Reem. Reem is a student in the Garden City College in Bangalore. She is a chef student. She is in her final year. She has been working with Marriott and JW Marriott and Renaissance and internships and other things. She's also been head chef at Teapot Mutiny. Now it's called, I think, Trapeze. So yes, these are our panelists. As you can see, a very, very wide and distinguished set of people that we have today. Now, I would like to actually have an open discussion, and I would actually request Mr. Jayant Rangan. I hope you're comfortable with me calling you Jayant.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And Jayant, will you be able to set the ball rolling? Let us just look at how you think this is going to be this particular reality that we are in, which we seem to be stuck in for a few months and perhaps for a few more months. How do you think it's going to pan out? Could we have your view?
Sure. I want to start off by making a basic statement, which is not unique to the hospitality business, but it's universal for all businesses.
Correct.
All businesses are here to generate profit.
Absolutely.
And profit is the result of income less expenses.
I love the statement.
Okay. Profit is a result, and a business is here to make profit. Now, 6 months ago, the world did business in a certain way. Today, the world does business in a different way, and tomorrow, we don't know. We can expect, and we hope, and the intention globally is to get ahead of what we were 6 months back.
Right.
That's progression. Hospitality is no stranger to ups and downs and upheavals. Okay? But the thing is, it's all been localized universally. In 2003, we had tensions between India and Pakistan. We had the markets, we had the hospitality business tank. In 2001, we had 9/11, the hospitality business tanked. In 1986, there was a problem in Southeast Asia, the hospitality business that time, and so on. It's always been impacted in a localized region. And that's why the industry has been able to get back onto its feet very quickly. This time, everybody is in the same boat. It doesn't make a difference who you are, which company, which brand, which segment, what color, creed, caste, gender, it doesn't make a difference. The industry as a whole, the tourism and travel industry, is universally impacted, and we're all sailing in the same boat. Having said that, so what is the future what is it we're looking at getting out of? Well, I believe the industry at some point in time is going to get back on its feet, because commerce has to start. A cure will be found, a vaccine will be found, the vaccine will be distributed. How long is anybody's guess, but it has to be found. And no matter how much gloom and doom people want to prophesize right now, the fact is it has to be found. So when that vaccine is found, when the cure is found, when it's administered, commerce will get back to what it was. It may, nobody can forecast the pace at which it's coming back. But the one thing we can expect and see right in our faces, staring in our faces, is that in order to retain profitability, the way we work is going to change. It has changed and it will change further. So go ahead.
If I may just add a few points over there. When you say that the work has to become profitable again, so you are saying that the new shoots for the commercial aspect of hospitality are there. They may be just dormant, but they will spring up again.
They have to.
They have to.
They have to.
So there you find that the forecast is something that you will be able to say that we will be going back into perhaps what we were in January, where we were very, very, eagerly looking forward to 2020. Is that something that you foresee?
I'm going to qualify that.
Okay.
Nobody on earth today can be certain when we will return to or to where we were in February 2020. In my present job, I look at financial numbers of different hotels. And I can tell you from experience and looking at numbers, January and February 2020 were significantly ahead of the same period 2019. Hotels are outperforming themselves year on year. Now, if anybody says that's going to come back in 6 months or 12 months or 18 months or 20 months, they've got a crystal ball which I don't know. I just don't know. I read a report this morning which says 2019 numbers are likely to come back 4 years down the line. That's a report written by somebody who's knowledgeable. I see there's another report or have participated, I've heard other industry experts who are running hotels and large inventory saying, oh, we look like we'll be back to normal in January 2021. So I don't know which is right, but I do know they're both right. In the extent that business will come back to normal. The question then is, as a young professional, either you have to contribute to the profitability side or the expense control side. And that's what you have to specialize in, and not being an accountant. But your skill sets either have to add tremendous revenue or your skill sets have to control cost. It has to be one of the two. That's the ultimate, or that's where it'll distill down to. So it's not necessarily the saying I'll be a great chef or I'll be a great service person or I'll be a great engineer. Or whatever your mechanism is different. But end of the day, you're only contributing to these two levers, revenue and expense.
Correct.
And that's what creates profitability.
So this particular present reality, as we would like to address it right now, is something that will be mitigated. But however, whether it's going to be in the near future or in a foreseeable future is something that we have to wait and watch, I guess. There is not something that we can immediately say that yes, everything is going, but you have given us an idea that hospitality as an industry has been bouncing back.
Oh yes, it has always bounced back. And like every other industry has bounced back.
So we can say that, yes, we can hope that there will be something in the future that will help us. And as a young professional, Ashwin, could we see what you would be thinking about, coming into the scenario at this particular realness and seeing how you would give the younger, say, for example, the youth of today, how you would think that they should align themselves to the different expectations that the present reality has brought into the hospitality industry?
Well, basically, ma'am, what's happening now, like for everyone, is hit us out of nowhere. No one saw it coming. No one expected this. No one knew this is what would be the new normal or anything. And same way, commercial-wise, also, we were all surprised. It came out all of a sudden. And same way for the youngsters also, now the people looking for jobs and the people who are already maybe this is very close to entering the industry. Everyone is very confused now, scratching their heads, not knowing what is going to happen next, how to proceed next, who to consult next, because now the paths they were following up, they have to make changes to them. Now what I believe is happening, ma'am, is that society society puts pressures. That there are things which our youth have been keeping quiet for a year and so many years that even today I'm sure that there are many like out there who will equivocally, like unequivocally, they'll stand up with me to tell that society puts a lot of pressures on us, whether it is marriage and all the things, everything that comes with it, marriage, the packages, how old are you, when are you going to get married? What has happened right now is that the situation, COVID-19, has stripped away a year away from these young people. Has taken in 2019 is, I didn't even bother buying the calendar because it doesn't, 2019 does not, we cannot move as planned, whether it's traveling wise and your work wise. But society isn't the kind person. Society has not changed itself. Corona will go by, Corona will pass. People are going to again, the same old questions will come up. So I believe that the youth also now, and one thing I firmly believe in the youngsters of this age being, hopefully I really consider myself still part of them. One thing about the youth is that whether it's the new normal, whether it's the old normal, no matter what the normal, our youth have overcome and seen so many things over the years. Our youth will create a new normal amongst this situation, amongst this problem that is going on. I don't think it is smart to sit and to wait as to when this will get over or how this will get synced. That's just wasting more days, more minutes, more seconds. We have to move every second to see what we can do with what we have right now. Yes, the hospitality sector has been hit very bad, and we still have to keep things up and running, even though, like Mr. Jain has spoken, we don't have it. The income isn't coming in, but the things that the expenditures have increased. But we are finding different ways. For example, I can tell you, in hospitality here in Bahrain, where I'm speaking with you about, we have coordinated with various governmental institutions, and we have given some of our properties to be used as quarantine centers. That way, income is still there coming in. Income is still coming in, and apart from that, the government, it's a very coordinated environment. Everyone understands that the issue is there, and everyone is going through their own version of their problem. So I don't think a young person sitting out there needs to worry about what he has to do next when it is over. More precisely, I would ask the person to plan right now with what is happening now. As in, even with the present situation, hospitality has so many vast. Hospitality is a sector where it has different options. It does not have to cater only to the one economic zone people, or different from all walks of life. Anyone, it could be. And it could, like I said, now it could be a sick person, it could be the wealthiest person. So, like that, if you're out there and worrying about what you have to do next, you do not have to worry about what you have to do next. You just have to focus on whether you are ready to do that when the calling comes, and it will come soon. And yeah, so that's what I have to say on that topic.
So basically, you would like the youth to be prepared, as we say in the boys.
Oh, I know they're prepared, ma'am. I don't need. I know they're prepared. I believe in them. I know through the things that I have overcome personally. I know the people younger than me are going through much more than that. Maybe now when I tell them my story about how I came up, they laugh it off as a joke. So I know the youngsters today, the youth, will not give up. And I know that in a situation like this, they are not going to sit back and wait to see when things are going to get okay. They will create their own new world within this world. Within this, during all these problems, they will create. I'm sure they'll create that one. So I'm not worried about them.
That is a very positive.
If anything, I'm worried about myself, because I know those youngsters are going to come and kick me out of my seat, because they're already planning on how to make things much better, how to improve the situation on their own. So yeah, definitely. They have got this in their hand. If anything, I would take advice from the youth as to what I should move in with now, because the youth have a better idea about what is happening, what is going to happen next. We only know based on what has happened over so many years. But basically the people between 25 and 30 have seen almost everything, be it wars, be it a famine, be it seen technological and everything. They've overcome and seen all these things. And most importantly, please do not forget, we have overcome societal pressures, which is the worst. It's worse than the pandemic. Trust me when I tell you. Yeah.
So societal pressures apart, you feel that the young today are really clear in what they can do in terms of anything. The sky is literally the limit. Is that what you're trying to say?
The sky is the limit. And no, there definitely will be people right now sitting and not knowing what to do next. All I have to tell those people are that what you need to realize is you might be in the same age group as a lot of your peers. Your peers might be going for masters abroad. Your peers might be doing something. But that does not have to affect your process at all. Everyone goes through their own process at their own pace of time. Tell me, ma'am.
Yes. Please continue.
We cannot accelerate the process. We cannot, like I said, we can only learn to adapt, and humans are the best in that. Humans have learned over the years to adapt in any situation, any tough time, whatever it is. And I know our youth have these norms and these adapting has been inculcated in the youth from a very young age. They have been raised to learn how to deal with pollution, how to deal with bullying, and all the things, like I said, different things. And our youth over the years have never disappointed us. This is not going to be anything different now. If the people, all they have to do is believe in themselves and know that their time will come. That just because they could not do something at a particular time, it's not the end of the world. Whatever they're calling, their time will come. Like I told you, ma'am, they have to be ready. At the time the calling comes, they cannot be disheartened. They shouldn't have reached the point where they don't feel like putting that foot forward. And I believe as people like if we have people like you and Mr. Rangan and Mr. Pramod to guide them into that future, for sure they are in safe hands, and more importantly, we are in safe hands. If they are taking over the hospitality, the youth are taking, we are safe. We too ourselves are safe in their hands too. And that interdependency cooperation needs to be understood.
Absolutely. So when you are actually looking at that, when you say that this is where we come from, this is where the youth are ready. They are like the young army, ready to be, directed and get loose into a whole new perspective, a whole new area. I think now we should actually look at how the institutes and the institutions, that is the academia, are actually thinking on the same lines, because they are actually preparing. They are your feeders, whether it be whether it be Jayant or Ashwin, and it would be people like Pramod who are actually preparing that the feeders like Reem into coming into the young army that you are going to be having, isn't it? So again, we have to see how the academia are sprucing themselves up to face this new reality and say how the youngsters today can still continue to be contributing to the profitability of the enterprise, because as Jayant has rightly said, income over expenses, that's what we're looking at, and that will return. So Pramod, could we have your view of how the institutes have actually come to grips with this scenario? Because even the what shall I say, the colleges and everything have been closed and locked down, and as yet there doesn't seem to be anything that has released or unlocked for them. So what do you think? What has been the response of the institutes to this current pandemic that we are facing? And also, what would be the kind of nurturing that is now available to the students, which can continue and prepare them? What would you have to say in regard to that, Pramod?
Yeah, now there are a couple of things that I need to, the stance taken by Mr. Jayant. It is a business property wherein end of the day, it is profits that matter. And on the other side, Ashwin saying that, yes, the youth is bubbly and the youth is there to just take on the, what do you call, reins and take it and be there. The difference is the only things that are coming in way of the youth reaching the industry is that there is a lot of frustration because job losses are taking place. There are many jobs that are being curtailed, and that's obvious because after all, it is a business. So if the numbers cannot match up, the jobs are being taken away. So final year students are realizing that the jobs that they went through with the best of companies are no longer there, and they have been postponed indefinitely. So that's creating one issue with students. The second is there is nothing called an industrial exposure or an industry visit that is possible at this point of time. So there are a section of students who are supposed to hit the industry and see it firsthand as to how it functions. That is not being possible. So there is some amount of misunderstanding happening there as well. And the third is the entry level has been closed because the government has not yet decided. There is as usual the general politics of the bureaucrat and whether you call it the politician, and the legalities that is involved, wherein the first years are not able to come in because there are no joint entrance examinations happening. There are no class 12 examinations which are allowing them to enter into the streams. So there is, I would not say there isn't any confusion. There is a confusion. The third years are waiting as to learn where they are headed to. So as an academia, we generally will have to follow what the hoteliers want. If the hoteliers are saying freeze, we have to hold on and be at the freeze. However, we cannot let the students go. And three things that definitely the pandemic has taught us is, number one, patience. Be patient, take it at a time, and things are going to change. Respect, be respectful. Things that we were throwing away earlier, these days we know that respect for food, respect for the implement has become more, and be responsible. So these are the three aspects. We are not going to change the teaching methodology too much. There are sayings that there is going to be, it's all going to be online now onwards and nothing to do with practicals. How are the practicals going to take place? Well, it's just like Mr. Jayan said, this is just a temporary phase. It is going to come back, and till such time when it comes back, we need to hold on, and that is happening mostly through the online mode. The online modes are helping us to reach out to the students. Webinars wherein we can call in very senior people, their seniors, immediate seniors can be brought in to give in their ideas to them, so that things like entrepreneurship, what are the baby steps of entrepreneurship, things like holding on to, being patient a little more, how do you handle stress management, can be handled by experts, and we become the interface of doing this for the students who are on the way. I do not think that teaching and the methodologies of teaching are going to change too much. Bloom's taxonomy is going to remain Bloom's taxonomy, where pedagogy will have its importance, and andragogy, wherein adult learners are going to be handled, are also going to be similar. Yes, technology is going to become very important now, and there might be more time available with the student to now explore the industry. One very good thing which was coming out of École Hôtelière Lausanne, one of the best hotel schools, which did appeal to me also, is if the hoteliers are ready, there might be a time when, to reduce the bottom lines, the industry might ask for students to come and run the hotels initially. Run it for them, because you know what? Students could turn out to be more responsible than some of the staff. The staff have migrated. Now, in Switzerland, people from entire of Asia have left. Similarly, for our prime time cities, Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, people, the migrant workers who were the workers at the bottom line have left. So what is going to happen? There's going to be a huge gap that is created, which needs to be filled in by these third years who are on the wait. So what I'm saying is, if there has been a free fall down, there is going to be an equally high, fast rise up also. It cannot be only a V down. A V is written when it goes down, ends at a point and rises up steeply also. So we are there. We are with the hoteliers and those who are there to look at these students, and we are hand-holding them to the perspective that the learning is happening, and more and more skills on the internet, so that they become more adaptive to technology. That is what is being done. We are promoting more and more skill-based soft skills and internet skills, e-skills, etc. into the students are being groomed in, so that as and when the hoteliers wish to take it forward, either the way it used to be earlier, if that is permissible, or the new way which is designed by the SOPs of the hoteliers can be held on by. So the interaction, we are just playing the role by way of, the hoteliers on one side and the students on the other side.
So basically you are the face of the via media between the two, the industry and the student, so that you can actually bring in whatever may be the new changes or the new perspectives that are forced in by the hotels to face this current situation. Reem, now this being the case, as a young student, as a person who's actually looking forward to getting out into this industry, into the hospitality industry, which is so very glamorous and everything, what do you think? Do you think that the industry, what you have listened to from Jayant and Ashwin, and the academia from Pramod, and your own experience from both the various internships that you have done in the past, as well as the current level of classwork that you are doing, how are you thinking that you should be looking at the next few months when you are going to be graduating into the business? What is your take on that?
Well, at the moment, we should actually, as Pramod sir has actually mentioned, that we are frustrated. There are students who are frustrated, not able to, grab their opportunities, because already the job losses that we are losing, we are not having their opportunities, but we should find those other smaller opportunities which we can grab on and, take that opportunity for us to learn. and we have to main thing is we need to know about the hygiene and sanitation. So that's why
Very good.
now even the smaller restaurants are also focusing on that, because that is more than over skill set. They're even specifying more onto the hygiene and sanitation. So even in colleges right now, if we're having online classes, they are stressing more into that, so that we as students also are very well versed on that and as a subject. And as us students, we need to be patient, yet be ready on, ready on our toes to grab on those opportunities and make sure that we push forward as youth, and you know um, uh, start
What
working
would you,
on ourselves.
hmm. So
Yes,
what
ma'am,
would
you
you
were
think
saying.
of, Pramod was just saying, I think I would like both Ashwin and Jayant also to think on this. Maybe the hospitality sector should actually pull in the students to take in the work that wherein their labor has suddenly disappeared. Today, you do not have the migrant labor in any aspect of business. So what do you think would be with the suggestion that Pramod has put forward that students could be used to fill in? As a student, what do you think about that idea?
That
That is
would
a very
actually be
new
very good for
idea.
us also. Yes, that would actually be very good for us also, because then we will be well versed and in that industry, working in the hotel industry, so that we are not left back, and
Hmm.
we are not just stuck at home. We are on our toes working towards it, and we will be also well trained and well knowledgeable about the industry, how it's going at the moment because of the pandemic, and we will be modeling ourselves into a different version, because it is we have a different way that we have to deal with COVID, as well as the industry that it is pushing towards, because of the economy also that is hit really low. So we'll have to be giving our 200%, and we should not lose that opportunity, because we have to actually take part in that. We should grab that as so that we can grow. And yeah, and we definitely have to even be well versed, as I said, as skills, and as a chef, we need to know more of. Now they are focusing on immunity boosting ingredients and food,
Very good.
and as as chefs, we have to completely change our normal thinking set of those ingredients and make it more into immunity boosting food and healthy foods, because right now that is more important at this part of the time as pandemic and COVID-19.
Correct.
And working in this industry, as we have get that opportunity, we should grab on it, and as a youth, not lose out, and yeah,
So
take
you feel that a career in, I mean, right now as an internship, continuing also, continuity of an internship would also be something that is excellent in terms of
yes,
the current reality.
because in hotel industry we need more experience, so if we have
Mhm.
this, that will
Mm.
actually help us to move forward. And because at the end they will be asking, what is your experience, what do you know, how can you deal with it, and this is a best time to actually grab on, so that we know how to deal with the difficult times. So it's easier when it is when we come out of this difficult time, and it's because as Jayan sir has said, it's a temporary time, it's temporary, this COVID pandemic, and this will actually help us to learn more better, and have our problem skills, our solutions that we can um, deal with, and we can give out solutions, and our problem solving skills also will be better in that way.
So do you think at this, given this particular, you being in the graduating class, uh, if you were to be given a chance or a choice between choosing a career or being self-employed, what do you think would be something that you would be looking at, which we can also look at from Jayant and Ashwin's viewpoint as well as Pramod's viewpoint later on?
I would choose, if I have the choice, I would definitely choose to join the career, to
Okay.
yeah, to join the bigger enterprises, the bigger industries, and then definitely grab on and work with them, because they will be our guidance,
Mhm.
and they will help us out to learn, and they will be learning also from us, because we are like young youth, young minds. We have As Mr. Ashwin has said that, we have come through and we have seen a lot of different difficulties or different phases of life also. And at the moment we are and society pressure. So with that, even here as working with the bigger enterprises, they, they will be our guidance, but we will have a different more options that we can set out, and we can also follow that, and we can definitely work with.
So giving yourself a little bit of a leeway to grab some experience, and
Yes.
then perhaps look at a step.
And stand on our own.
Yes, to spread your own wings and start off. So
Yes.
that, would you like to ask something that is very, very much in your mind, apart from the fact that, yes, what is happening is today, income, expense, etc. So would you like to ask something to either Jayant or Ashwin about the industry right now, especially given the fact that you know that you're not going to be able to step out into the same, what shall I say, scene as it was, and maybe something that will be there for a few months. So what would you like, if you were to ask a question, what would you like to ask?
Well, I would like to ask that, as they say that, the income, moreover, right now the industry is focusing on, as they said, Mr. Jain sir had said that, profitability over expenses. But right now, students are having job offers which are not that much out there.
Correct.
And as interns, at least, I would actually see if, do you think that would be possible for students to, take part as interns or working as, starting as a lower level? Because chefs, obviously, if I have to say from my point, we always start from a lower level. So that would be a good opportunity. So they shouldn't be only focusing on profitability, maybe even give students also to grab on so that they can have experience.
I want to respond.
Yes, Jay, I would love you to answer.
Clarity on one thing. I said businesses exist, or the objective is to create profit.
Yes.
And profit is the difference between income and expense. Okay. Let's understand that statement very clearly and not misread it as organizations are here to only make profits and to hell with everybody else.
No. We are not looking at that.
No, I want to be very clear on that, because that can be very easily misinterpreted. I know no organization, forget an organization, no individual, no family, no person, no small-time businessman, nobody wants to see somebody without a job. Starting from when the situations started in March, I think everyone on this panel will agree that though people did not, even in our homes, when people, our domestic help didn't come, we made sure they were paid. Imagine that is now what grows in scale. Everybody wants to help everybody. And I think that's something very genuine about individuals, about social groups, and about organizations as well. Most organizations on day one did not say, okay, let's get rid of our staff. Okay. I'm yet to hear of any organization which said that. Organizations universally took a stand saying, okay, if we all bleed a little bit, then a lot more people can get through. So organizations took different stands, some, and various restructuring of salaries, wages, etc. But that's not the issue. The issue is organizations did their best and continue to do their best to protect their people who work for them. And that is universal. Every organization on this planet that I know of has done its best to protect its workforce at all levels. So I want to be very clear on that.
So, yes.
That's the first step. So I don't want to get it misinterpreted as the money gouging beasts. They're not. So let's not let that come across.
No. We are not letting that come across.
I just want to be clear, please. The second thing is, I was just taking notes while we were talking. Yes, situation is going to improve. Business is going to return. But businesses and organizations have a responsibility to the people who have built them,
Yes.
who own them. The shareholders, the owners, the investors, the proprietors, people who put their hard-earned savings, earnings, money into it, to give them a return. So if you go back to industry 20 years ago, it was not abnormal for hotels to have much larger ratios of staff to rooms. That was the basic norm that people used to evaluate it. Today it's changed. And tomorrow it's going to change even further. Now, would anybody here like to venture a guess in the developed world, in a 300-room hotel, how many staff would you have? Anybody like to venture that guess?
I have a very strong feeling that this is very tricky.
It's a very tricky question. And I'll tell you why. I'll give you my experience. I have seen 300-room hotels with 2 restaurants, a bar, reasonably large-sized banqueting facilities, operate on 85, 90 staff. How do they do it, is the question. They don't grow another 2 pair of arms. They don't. They just look at having people which are what we call multi-skilled. Multi-skilling has been a word that we've all used. And it has progressed. There was a time in a hotel, you'd have a separate bellboy, you'd have a separate person for check-in, a separate person for check-out, a separate person for carrying, for the so-called concierge information service. Today, it's all 3 functions are executed by the same group of people. And you have multi-skilled and made it more efficient. So I believe going forward, businesses will welcome people back, will welcome new people into the system, because businesses are going to grow. If you look at the number of hotel projects which are under development right now, it's significant. Somebody's not going to say, okay, now we're going to wait and do nothing about it. Projects are going to get completed. Hotels are going to open. 10 years down the line, we won't even remember COVID, or it'll be, hey, that's before my time. So stuff is going to carry on. What I tell people who care to ask me is, what hotels are looking for is the talent to help them make them more efficient. So I ask people today, between January and now, I understand that it has not been safe to even move into, when I say January, I'm talking when this situation has started. It hasn't really been safe to even travel and go to work. Hotels, as just an example, have got more people than they need to even continue with their existing functions. If a hotel has 300 rooms and it's got 25 rooms occupied, they're struggling to say, we want to take care of our existing staff. They're doing their best to keep their existing staff intact. They have a moral and a responsibility. Hey, these are people, they are people, we take care of them. So the question comes back to, when this situation corrects itself, why should I be chosen over the next candidate? What do I bring different? How have I added value to myself during this period? I used to tell people before this thing started was, I remember the one young gentleman came up to me and he said, oh, you know, sir, there's going to be a problem. There are no jobs. I said, hold on, don't give me that. There's an acute, very difficult to find talent. You can speak to any human resource, human capital person across the board pre-COVID, and their standard headache would be, I just can't find the right people.
Right person.
I can't find the right person for that job. So I'm looking for a unique person. I'm not looking for a unicorn, which doesn't exist. I'm looking for a person who has a certain skill set and a certain attitude that can actually help me grow, be successful. So I don't put people down into numbers. Numbers are a result. As a business, I look at the numbers. As a business owner, I would look at the numbers. But what causes the numbers are the people. And why would I be selected over the next candidate next to me? What is it that I bring differently? Now, yourself as a chef, it need not only be your culinary skills.
Yes.
It may not only be your culinary skill set, because the person next to you also has got comparable culinary skill sets.
We have to think out of
I'm
the
making
box.
that completely different. Okay, apart from culinary, what have I done in marketing? Okay, maybe I can do something in, what do I know about food and beverage cost control? What do I know about understanding finance or digital marketing? What else do I bring to the table where I have two things and I add them together and they don't add, they multiply? I'll give you an example. Again, it's a wacky example, but you must listen to it for everybody. I know a gentleman who makes ice cream. And he's got this chain of ice cream parlors. And I asked him one day, I said, why don't you just sell the plain ice cream? He said, hold on. If I sell the ice cream, I sell it at X. If I put the chocolate sauce and the nuts, I sell it at 4X. The chocolate, the nuts and the sauce may cost me only X, but I add X plus X, I'm multiplying it into 4X. So you're talking about a multiplying factor, adding value. What is the value addition that you bring in that is a multiplying factor to the business? It's going to become tough. It's going to become tougher. Every day is going to become tougher. Today, hotels are operating on a certain staff to manpower ratio. Tomorrow, after things become normal, owners not only have to run their businesses, they have to fill the hole that's been dug when the business was not performing, when they were actually getting out of pocket in huge numbers to keep the ship afloat. We've seen a lot of small restaurants have shut down.
Yes.
Okay, and why are they shutting down? Not because the owners are greedy, it's because they've run out of money.
Exactly.
Now, the few guys who survived, or the people who survived, are doing all sorts of things to try and survive. They're scraping the bottom of the barrel. They've started home delivery of food. They've started, I'll do laundry for the guy next door. I will do laundry. You will find ways and means to keep the ship afloat. And that's what's happening right now. So
you have chefs coming home.
Yeah. There'll be lots of, I don't have all the ideas, but that's the beauty. I don't need to. Today, when I look at a business, I look at the hospitality as a business. I look at it saying, I need to be a profitable enterprise that can survive this.
True. So,
and as an individual, I have to keep on adding value to myself every single day. And I have to add value into a field which I'm not familiar with.
So your advice on the way forward would be multi-skilling to add value to yourself. So you can, what shall I say, fit into a multiple levels. And that would be possibly something that the future of the industry would be requiring. However, right now, I think we have a few questions, which I think we will just take up. First of all, I think we have something to do with hospitality education. Now, I will, of course, give this to Pramod, but I would like Ashwin and Jayant and Reem to also contribute what they feel. The question is, does hospitality education actually fit what is needed in the entire, what shall I say, scenario for the hotels? Does it give you the complete set of skills which you need to be able to work in the hospitality industry, or is there a lacuna? That is the question that I have been asked right now from our audience. And I would like the panel to think about it. I would first go to Pramod. Pramod, few minutes, few seconds. I'm thinking we are running out of time, then Jayant, then Ashwin, and finally Reema. Reem, you will give us what you think of what you are learning. Pramod.
Okay. For me, any education, any form of education in any line does not give a complete, what do you call, a complete A to Z tools for you to be successful in that industry. Similarly, in hospitality also, hospitality even more because we are handling people. When it comes to people management, the education can only take you towards the skill sets and a certain degree of knowledge. What has to be dwelt upon is the attitudinal learning, and what you can pick up from others that come handy to you as you move on through your life. Now, just like what Jayant sir was saying, if you need to multi-skill, one of the most important things that is going to come into the way of that is your mindset. Now, what are you trying to do about mindset? Now, hospitality education to any extent, though it does touch upon mindset, it does because it is a very individualistic sort of a thing wherein you can develop a certain style of mindset and a particular, no one can teach you a mindset. There can be only examples that can be given to you, just like the multiplication factor that was being told. Examples can be set up for you. However, the mindset and the development of the mindset comes to the individual. So if it is said that is hospitality education taking everything? No, it is not, is what I would say. In fact, hospitality education has been stuck with a particular syllabus for a long period of time, which is undergoing a change as the demand is coming in. Is it complete in all aspects? No, it is not. That is my take on it.
So thank you. So there is something that is yet to be learned by these.
That is quite a bit. That is quite a bit to be learned.
Mindset. Yes. There is a question to Jayant. What are new innovations in hospitality business? There is something called staycations for professionals to work remotely in idyllic locations. What is your view on something like this? Is this an innovation that's here to stay? Is it something that is actually going to help out? Because we had Ashwin also saying that quarantine rooms and so on. So what would be your view on that?
Okay.
On
Staycation is a classic example of how an organization has looked at an underutilized service and found a way to get it consumed.
Lovely. That's a lovely way to put it.
You've taken an underutilized resource or a product and you found a way to get it used.
Very good.
Now, if you take a country like Singapore, where every single hotel guest would typically be an international traveler because it's a city.
Yes.
But staycations are something which they do during the weekend. But hey, I don't want to sit at home because during the week, I am at home, I'm looking after the kids, I'm looking after the husband, I'm looking after the wife, I'm running around my job. On the weekend, husband, wife, kids check into a hotel, they have a blast, you're completely taken care of, you're pampered. They've taken an inventory which was underutilized on weekends, created something to utilize it. So staycation is just an example, and I'm sure there are going to be many, many, many more things that evolve as time goes by, where you have an unused inventory, sell it. Hotels at one point in time did buffets at midnight, special buffets at midnight at a fantastic price. You used a window where there was not enough footfall and create something for it to get used.
Correct. So
cinema halls offer dining restaurants. If you come in at 6 p.m. dining, you get a different price. 8 p.m. you get a different price. But you're using, it's an unused, underused inventory which is being sold. So staycation is just an example, and they're here to stay, and they're only here to multiply. Go ahead.
So going ahead, we will have something more on these lines. Like today, it's staycations and it's rooms for quarantine, as Ashwin has said. And tomorrow, it would possibly be moving your gross operating profit to your human capital profit, if that's what you have to look at.
Anything where you can utilize your inventory. The hotel industry is the most perishable product in the business.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Be it rooms, be it restaurant seats, a restaurant seat which is empty for lunch on the 5th of August 2020 can never be filled.
Absolutely. So that
It's
is
like
the most
airlines,
perishable thing.
cinema halls, you have very perishable inventories. Find a way to get that inventory occupied. That's
So-
what it's all about.
So you would say that however we can, in whatever probably different kind of ideas to use up the unused inventory, we have to start thinking about that. And we also have to see that our human capital is with us.
Yes.
And we take them along. We do not just, leave them somewhere.
You don't
out there.
discard them. You
What are
can't
the-
discard them.
You cannot discard them. So Ashwin,
No.
what would you be able to add to this part of the human capital? As a GM in Bahrain, how have you coped with the, what shall I say, lack of utility of your resource?
Well, like Mr. Jayant at first said, everything multi-skilling. We've had instances where, like he said, I was very worried about our staff and very worried about whether we could meet everyone's needs. And we don't want to decrease our manpower or anything, because the people who were there with us when the times are good, we have to remember them when the times are bad. It doesn't work the other way around, where you can just throw them out of the basket when times are tough. And so similarly, like I would like to bring in Miss Reem's point over here, which I think she made an amazing point. Like the youth have to be involved in these situations, especially at times like these, because the main problem with what I'm telling based on my mentality at that point of time when I was looking for a job is I was always looking for an established company somewhere where a good name I can tell my neighbor and they'll say, wow, that's a great one, we got into that. But the thing that the young people, we don't understand is an established company. Of course, it's great to get it. Definitely, they should pursue that. But when you're part of an establishing process, when you're the thing is that when you get into a company that is still up and coming, still working hard, which is right now, every company is in that stage, where every company is rebuilding, revamping, trying to figure out how to this thing. So it doesn't matter. Like I know the money will be less. I know maybe it will be more work, even putting your own life at risk. As a matter of fact, right now. But what the young people out there need to remember is that what you do today, everything you do, even it might be for a less amount of money, it could be for no amount of money. But that enterprise, that organization will not forget it. They will remember the people who gave it them, who supported them during the tough times, who made sacrifices with them, and who kept on coming on the next day, who did not stop showing up the next day, maybe because they had a tough evening or had a tough previous maybe the income didn't come in good, things how they expect didn't work. So I believe the youth have to a little bit, just a little bit for the time being, not completely, never aim for the stars out there. I want to tell everyone, aim for the stars, but for the time being, just lower, fluctuate your expectations just a little bit, just for the time being, because you need to remember whatever you do today for any company during their tough time, they will remember it and you will be recognized for it. And it'll make things better for you. And more importantly, disaster management is the best experience you can have in this field of work. So everything you do now, I think the youth have to go get out there and put away their inhibitions and give it their best shot. So,
Superb. That is a very, very positive shot in the arm for Reem. Reem, definitely there is something that I'm sure you have to also tell us regarding how multi-skilling. Is it something that scares you, or is it something that makes you feel happy?
Definitely not. It'll make us happy. It'll make me happy, because that's where they say, where, if you have different set of skills, different, knowledge, we keep learning. We are not stuck to what we are learning, just hotel management. We have to be open-minded about different knowledges that we are going ahead with our life, and we keep growing with that. And, having different skills, as Mr. Jain sir has said, or Mr. Ashwin sir has said, that we have to think out of the box, be extraordinary, be unique, and that will help us also to grow and get that opportunity, or get into that organization, because as HRs they want something different. And I definitely would say that we should be multi-skilled and not just be just in one safe zone. We have to go out of our safe zone, out of that bubble. Yes.
So get out of your safe zones. That is the message that you would like us all to take.
Yes, we have to take that risk in that way.
Have to venture into uncharted territories.
Yes.
And we have to see that whatever we have just now, as this discussion coming to an end, Deepika has come in. She says, yes, ma'am, let's wind up. So I think just to quickly give a small little thing, I think one, the hospitality industry will bounce back. There isn't something that can keep us down. We are great, we will bounce back. And we know that adaptability is the way forward. Multi-skilling and also value addition during this period, making us unique and making us hard to overlook. That is what I think we should be able to take away. And yes, frustrations will be there, but it's not that there are no jobs out there. There are jobs and they will be there, and there is no need for any kind of negativity at this particular moment, as well as not to think of only the, as Jan very sweetly put it, not just the business. It's not all about business. It's also the heart. And the heart of the business is the people. I think, Deepika, if I could welcome you back into the discussion. I think you have given me a little longer than anticipated. Thank you. And I hand it back to you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, panelists. It was really, it's sad we are at the end of this session. The session is just over. And it was such a beautiful session where we had beautiful insight and thought, which has come over the experience, starting Jayant sir, Pramod sir, and of course, Mr. Ashwin and you, Sundara ma'am. And of course, we had the youth voice, which was very loud and clear that nothing can stop us. And also the welcoming general manager who said, yes, we can and we will. So it's a great session. Thank you very much, Ms. Sundara, for moderating this show. Thank you very much, Jayant sir, Pramod sir, and Mr. Ashwin for taking time and being part of this session.